Hundreds are expected to be laid off from Boeing's plant in Charleston next year. That as the company is cutting about 10% of its workforce.
Boeing confirmed with WAFF 48 today layoffs in Huntsville's Space Launch System are on the way.
A lot of questions about how many workers here in Washington will be impacted, as well as what jobs will be cut.
They once built Air Force One. Now they're being punished for trying to build planes everyday people can afford. After waving the American flag for over 100 years, Boeing shifted part of its production to Mexico, just enough to survive crushing supply chain costs. But instead of support, Washington hit back with a 200% tariff and a presidential meltdown. Trump picked up the phone and gave Boeing an ultimatum. Build everything in America or pay the price. No debate. No concern for jobs. Just a new rule. Do it my way or don't do it at all. When Boeing pushed back, China jumped in, canceling orders, jacking up tariffs, and sending shockwaves through U.S. manufacturing towns. All because one company tried to stay competitive in a country that once celebrated free markets. So here's the real question. If even Boeing can't survive American politics, what chance do the rest of us have? Let's break it down in today's video. Note, this video is an independent analysis based on public sources. It does not represent any organization or political stance. We encourage you to think critically and share your thoughts in the comments. Boeing isn't just flying through turbulence. It's battling the most chaotic skies since World War II. Global demand is exploding. Asia and Latin America are desperate for planes. Suppliers can't keep up. And rising U.S.-China tensions have Boeing trapped between loyalty and survival. To stay alive, Boeing quietly planned a small shift to Mexico. Not outsourcing, just smart strategy. But instead of praise, they got slapped. A 200% tariff threat, with Trump declaring, "Build in America or else." Within days, China fired back, halting deliveries, freezing billions in orders, and hitting U.S. aircraft with tariffs as high as 125%. Boeing jets meant for Chinese carriers were suddenly sent back across the Pacific. One aircraft built for Jean Airlines made a ghostly round trip from Zhoushan to Seattle. Workers in Wichita, Kansas, and Everett, Washington felt the blow. Hours cut. Production paused. Entire communities left wondering what hit them. Just like that, Boeing went from American icon to economic scapegoat. And the workers, people who built those planes with their own hands, were left paying the price for a political tug-of-war. Now picture this. Not a public speech, not a global summit, just a private phone call between Trump and Boeing CEO Kelly Ortberg. That one call triggered the whole thing. Trump warned, any plane built even partly outside the U.S. would face brutal tariffs. No warning. No wiggle room. Just a headline and a threat. But Ortberg didn't back down. He went public. He said the Mexico move was about survival, not betrayal. He told investors it was the only way to meet soaring global demand and fix a fragile supply chain. We're not political pawns, he said. We're here to build planes that people can fly and airlines can afford. Boeing aimed to produce 38 737 MAX jets per month by mid-2025, ramping to 42 by year's end. Not because of politics, but because global markets are booming. Their 2025 forecast shows demand for over 43,000 new planes in the next 20 years, led by Asia and India, not American patriotism. Suppliers like Honeywell quickly adjusted, raising their revenue forecasts by over 10%. Demand is there. Boeing's ready. But the FAA still looms, cautious after safety scares like the Alaska Airlines Bold incident. They've warned, no production increase without major quality upgrades. So Boeing's future now hangs in the balance between political pressure, international backlash, and the unshakable demand for air travel. They thought Boeing would beg. Instead, it fought back. After China hit back with crushing tariffs, some as high as 125%, Boeing jets destined for Chinese skies sat grounded. Warehouses filled up. The phone call that sparked it all didn't just ignite a trade war. It exposed the true cost of blind patriotism. Jobs lost, growth stalled, and innovation punished. Trapped between politics and survival, Boeing made a bold choice. It pivoted. CEO Kelly Ortberg stopped waiting for Washington and turned toward the future. Southeast Asia, India, Latin America. These regions weren't interested in political drama. They wanted planes. Fast. Emerging markets are expected to account for 60% of the 43,600 aircraft needed by 2044. By mid-2025, Boeing had already delivered 280 planes, closing in on Airbus, which stood at 306. Production hit 45 jets in June alone, with plans to ramp the 737 MAX to 42 per month and boost 787 output into 2026. This wasn't just about numbers, it was a signal. To Apple, to Ford, to Tesla. Global markets reward efficiency, not political loyalty. Boeing's move showed the rest of corporate America. If the system punishes growth at home, look elsewhere. Still, dangers remain. Airbus dominates the narrow-body race. Ryanair warns it may cancel billions in orders if U.S. tariffs raise prices. And Boeing's future depends on speeding up production while navigating regulation and rebuilding trust. The silver lining? Q1 2025 saw 130 jets delivered, $19.5 billion in revenue, and an 18% year-over-year bump. But with free cash flow down to $2.3 billion and $500 million in yearly tariff costs, it's clear, this isn't a comeback yet. It's survival. Boeing's backlog now sits at over 5,600 aircraft, valued up to $545 billion. That's its lifeline. But the next mistake could burn it all down. Ryanair has already threatened to walk $30 billion in orders on the line. So what's next? Boeing must win trust, deliver on promises, and double down on cleaner tech. Because in this new era, national pride shouldn't come at the cost of national progress. Boeing didn't collapse. But this fight is far from over. What if the American dream took flight, only to crash under its own weight? That's the question Boeing forces us to ask in 2025. The company trimmed its loss per share to -16, down from last year's -56. It's a sign of better control, but Boeing is still bleeding. Quietly, it sold off its digital portfolio, including Japan, for $10.55 billion. A move to cut debt and refocus on aerospace. Was it smart strategy, or a desperate sale to patch up tariff damage? Only time will tell. Now comes the real test. Sustainability. Boeing's 2024 report and its X-66 Eco demonstrator show ambition, but real change is slow. SAF, sustainable aviation fuel, made up just 0.3% of jet fuel in 2024. Forecasts say we'll still fall 30% short of global climate targets by 2030. Boeing claims SAF is the future, but critics fire back. Can you talk green when your production choices triggered trade wars and grounded jets? After two 737 MAX crashes, a mid-air door blowout in 2025, and major restructuring, Boeing's trust level is running on fumes. To survive, Boeing needs more than planes. It needs transparency, diversified supply chains, and proof it's serious about clean aviation. Otherwise, it risks becoming a cautionary tale where flag-waving turns into factory shutdowns. Because in 2025, slogans won't fly. Especially not when jets stall and green promises ring hollow. Boeing has danced with politics before, from Trump's tariff standoffs to frozen China orders and risky global pivots. But beyond the headlines, there's a bigger question. What's this version of patriotism really costing Americans? Air travel demand is rising fast, expected to hit 108% of 2019 levels in 2025. And grow 3.6% annually through 2044. That means 43,600 new aircraft are needed, not more press conferences. And here's the twist. Airlines care less about patriotism and more about affordable on-time planes. The International Air Transport Association says hitting net zero by 2050 will cost $4.7 trillion. Airlines would rather spend on efficiency, not tariff fallout. Yes, Boeing made some progress. 130 aircraft delivered, $19.5 billion in revenue, up 18%, and losses trimmed to $31 million. But it's still in the red with a $2.3 billion cash flow gap. That's not a comeback. That's survival barely. Meanwhile, Airbus is dominating. Comac is eyeing new markets. Ryanair says it'll jump ship if Boeing hikes prices. Competition isn't coming, it's already here. So the stakes? They're bigger than airplanes. If loyalty to domestic production causes delays, dysfunction, and higher costs, what happens to trust? To jobs? To Boeing's legacy? The truth is hard. If even Boeing, the symbol of American innovation, must go global to survive, what hope is left for small towns built around its factories? In 2025, patriotism looks great on campaign signs. But if it kills production, drives up prices, and strangles innovation, it's not patriotism. It's theater. And Boeing knows it. SAF remains just 0.3% of global jet fuel. Hitting net zero by 2050 still demands a $4.7 trillion transformation. Airlines don't want politics, they want progress. So here's the final blow. Buy American is now a slogan wrapped around rising costs, missed targets, and fading trust. Boeing's comeback isn't about flags. It's about facts. And the only way forward is real reform, cleaner tech, stronger supply chains, and leaders who act, not just speak. So, do we keep clinging to empty slogans? Or finally build something that can fly, last, and lead? This was just the beginning. Hit that subscribe button and buckle up. Digital Garage has so much more in store.